So welcome. We are going to continue where we are learning about positioning ourselves for victory, as Jesus has already given us victory. And so we say that once we look at any area that we are praying for, because we are supposed to partner with God to be able to advance his kingdom. And so we see that in the book of Isaiah and also in the book of Daniel, that God's dominion, God's rule and reign, his influence has to increase without an end. And so that's where you first come, because you have to answer, if God created you according to Ephesians 2:10, you are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which he prepared beforehand, that you should walk in them. So what are those good works? Because there's so many of us that are going to live this life, and we actually never lived the life that God intended. Some others, there's other things where people want to live the life that somebody else is living. And so, and because of that, that means that it is like, we see actually that with the children of Israel, because that is a very good example of people going to get their birthright. And so we realize that two and a half of the tribes, they didn't go where God told them to go. They came as CROSSs, as just crossing Jordan to the other side. And because of that, they saw that the houses there were so good. And so they decided to settle just close by where God said, but not where he said. And so some of us, maybe we are settling for something less than, and there's all that. But now we were talking about to see ourselves victorious. On one side, we have to settle it's not God. We took another lesson to explain that you have been born in God. That's if you've received Jesus into your life. And then now, if you're not seeing the manifestation of that which has been promised in the word, first you ask yourself, what is the motive for asking for this thing? And if it is in line with God's agenda, then the other thing is to ask God, is the enemy hindering? And so if the enemy is hindering, then, and you are seeing, we have taken time to see that he has been defeated. He was stripped of all authority. So that's the question. If Jesus has all authority and I am his child and Satan is having a legal right, why does he have the legal right? What is giving him the legal right? Is it something that I did where I opened the door, or is it something that my generations did and they opened the door? So this is what we are going to look at today, because most of the time when we tell people, go look, is it something that you did? They have very limited knowledge of things that they need to look for. So I think I have several of them. So we are just going to go one after the other. I won't take so much deep time to explain, but I'll just be explaining, like not in so big major details. Because we've taken time to teach on this. You can look at some of these teachings on the website, and the website is on there. So visit the website, join some of our classes, join the Bible study. It cannot be just a one time that you hear this message and expect the transformation. You have to dedicate some time to spend time in it so that your belief system gets changed. So one of the areas that I usually look at, so we've said this. So let me lay the foundation for those who didn't listen to last week's teaching. God has told you to establish a business because, you have an assignment. Maybe the assignment for the business is to be able to get the money to fund the kingdom agenda of whatever it is that he's doing in your local church or in a ministry like this. And so that's your assignment, to fund the kingdom agenda. So to fund the kingdom, you actually need to go make the money. And so there's one thing that I teach about making money. There's 3 ways. Being employed, it can help, but if you really truly that are sent by God on the earth to fund the kingdom agenda, then being employed will not be enough. We need some people to just, be employed and take care of family. But if really your assignment is to fund the kingdom agenda, you have to settle. Employment is not going to generate for you enough money to fund the agendas that God has. So if you want to fund the agendas to the level that God, yes, you can fund it from your job, but to the level, if that's your sole assignment, like you came from God and you are sent onto the earth, and you are his workmanship, and you are created in Christ Jesus to actually fund his kingdom agenda. If that's why you came on the earth, then your job is not going to be enough, because that's not the, you need something bigger. It's like me saying that, I was created by God to come and do, and spread the gospel. But then I go to full-time job and just be doing that. If I'm really like, that's my sole assignment, to be able to spread the gospel, then I need to find a way to be able to spread the gospel more. And so that's key for you to understand. If your assignment is to, I say this again, because there's some people whose assignment, and that's why so many churches are struggling, so many ministries are struggling, because the people that have been sent by God from heaven and equipped with every good thing so that they can be able to fund that kingdom agenda, either they are getting the funding and keeping it for themselves, or because they don't know that that's their God-given assignment, all they have not been activated to step out into their assignment. So that means they are remaining employed and they are not going into business. And so there's three ways that you can generate income. I don't know why I went here. I teach on wealth too. I have a business school, business online school. And so, and I'm actually working with a billionaire from Australia, and we are using some of his lessons on how he came from $76,000 in debt to where now he manages over 1.2 billion company, but he still understands. That's where I'm saying he understands that his assignment on the earth is to be able to, raise a sheep nation, but also be able to fund the kingdom assignment to those who are raising sheep nations. And so once he understood that, then he knew he needed the funding. And so we are looking at his journey and what he has gone through. So let's go back. So I'm just going to mention this. So if you are those people that have been called onto the earth to fund the kingdom agenda, there's three main ways you can get, you can get money. One of them is businesses. So you can start a business, whatever that kind of a business is. The second one is real estate. So you can do real estate stuff. And then the third one is paper trading. So stock trading. Right now we have crypto trading, all that which is on trading, that is paper trading. So those are the three ways so once you get your money from your job, then you'll be able to understand and now move with that and see where your heart is, what you need to invest in that so that you can make more enough funding to be able to fund the kingdom of God. So let's go here. So now God has told you this is your assignment, or just God has told you this might not be a full assignment, but he's told you to start a business. You know who you are, and then you start a business. It's not doing well. Then you come here where there's now that conflict where you're asking if Satan is hindering, because I know he is, what is giving him the legal light? And that is where now you go back, and these are the things that I'm laying down. One of the things that you find that gives him the legal light, most of the time, if you see the hindrance, I want you to get this part. If you encounter the hindrance, most of the time, most people just look at them and their bloodline as what has caused the hindrance. But I want to tell you that there's more to just you and your bloodline. So we will understand this from the 5 things that God called holy in the Old Testament. So the first thing that God called holy was time. When he created during the 7th day, when he created the 7th day, he called that day holy. So you remember, time was not defiled. So there was the 6 days, nothing had happened then to defile the time, yet he called it holy. So if God is calling something holy, that means it can be defiled. I want you to get that. So if he's calling time holy, the 7th day of creation, then that means time can be defiled. And so that's the first area that you need to look at, because that's the first thing that God called holy. So remember, you are starting your business, and you can't see the breakthrough that you have been promised by God. And so now that's the question that you are asking. What is giving the enemy the legal right to hinder? Is time defiled? And time is what is giving him the legal right. So what are signs of defilement of time? Most of the people that have defilement of time, they're always late. So remember, God created you, and when he created you, he set, when we look at Psalms 139:16, it says that your days were fashioned for you, while as yet there was none of them. And so if days were fashioned for you, that means there's a time that you are supposed to alive on the earth, and there's a time that you are supposed to live on the earth. And so if something happens, this is where the defilement of time comes. If something happens and shifts those days, sometimes it could be like what Job is doing. Because if you look at Job, at one time he cast his days. And so there's some people that have been suicidal, and because of that spirit of futility, they wished they never lived. We don't know the effect of that on time, but we know that's one thing that would shift time. So that now when time is cast, that means that on one side, you are doing the same thing. Like you wake up, you know, like you're going on your computer, it's not working. Everything is taking more time than it's supposed to. And you are setting up that business, you know exactly what to do, but you can see there's some devouring of time. And so even if before you know this, you can just pray against that. Maybe it's just because you need to pray towards and release blessings on your time. So the next thing is that where you need to ask God, is there defilement? But if you, the other sign of defilement of time is, think of it like a pray. So when people are doing a pray, there's a time that you are supposed to come. Let's say, you know, God is advancing his kingdom from the generations past to the generations future. And so he saw this was the best time for you to come. He gave you everything you need. And so now there's some things that other people had done, and then there's a place you are supposed to come in. So if there's defilement of time, that means there's misalignment. So think of it like a play, and you have 3 actors. So there's an actor who is supposed to come on scene 1, or say a line, and then you say yours. So just imagine if that is off, and so the one who is supposed to say the second line says it the first time, and so you put everybody else's line in confusion. Or you are supposed to come on to scene 2, but you either come on scene 1 and then, or you come on scene 3, because something has defiled your time. Something has misaligned your time. And so you need to take time. If you see that is happening, like there's something, like now there's some people that God had spoken to about, you know, like making things like masks. And God, he had taught them how to sew. And then when it was season for COVID, where people need masks, they didn't step in. Right now, there's no more COVID. This is the time they are stepping in to make a mask. That is scene 3, while you are entering in scene 3, while you are supposed to be in scene 1. So that would tell you this defilement of time. Or some other time it's a product that you have, and then people needed it when you could have produced it. Now you are producing it. People don't need it anymore because they have another different new product. And so if that, like, just think of the cameras. Like, we used to buy cameras. And so if that is, God now tells you, stop selling cameras, start selling mobile phones, and you are thinking, no, why should I sell mobile phones when I sell cameras? But God would understand that with the time, you would not, most people don't need cameras anymore. They don't buy cameras except now professional people. Very few people now use they use their phones to take pictures. And so there's that where God can position you if your time is not defiled. But if somebody did something, and I don't have time to go to all the reasons why time can be defiled, but if you see that consistently coming into your life, where you feel like things never click, things never align, like you come in, everything is off, then you would know that there's defilement of time. So then you pray. The same thing. Jesus has wiped out the handwriting requirement that was against you. So you come and you say, God, right now, I might not spend time to know why it's defiled, but sometimes just say, God, I can see defilement of time. I can see that what was supposed to take me 2 hours is taking me 4 hours. And maybe sometimes I'm not able to do anything. Everything is just, there's defilement. So you pray and ask God to remove the defilement and speak holiness. Remember, there's no vacuum in the spirit. So if you pray for the defilement of time, you have to make decrees for the time to align and time to behold, to walk as, to come as God intended, where things are aligning as God intended, because it is on earth as it's in heaven. There's synchronization in heaven concerning time, so there should be synchronization on earth concerning you and your assignment and your business. So that is one area. If you spend time with that, I know I have more. I have taught on this like maybe 2 hours each. And so just go on the website, send me a message, and be able to get some of these teachings so that you can go deeper. So the next one that can be defiled after you see that place is when the children of Israel, no, this is when Moses is being called. And Moses encounters God. And he's on the backside of the desert, and he sees this bush burning. Because it was a desert, it was common for bushes to just catch on fire. But once that happened, the bush actually got consumed. The heat would become so hot, and bushes would actually catch on fire. What caught Moses' attention was that the bush was burning, but there was fire, but the bush was not being consumed. So that caught his attention. But when he came, that's not the area I want to focus on. When he came closer, what did God say? God said, don't come any closer, for the ground where you are standing is holy. And so, but we see the same thing. We see that when Cain shed the blood of Abel on the ground was defiled. It was cast on behalf of Cain. So the ground would no longer give its increase to Cain. So the earth can be defiled. Some of it could be you who defiled it. There's several things that defile the ground, defile the earth. Sexual sins defile the ground. Blood defiled the ground. Idol worship, idolatry defiles the ground. And so maybe there's more, but those are the 3 that I have found. So do you know if 4 generations down your bloodline, somebody defiled the earth? And so if somebody defiled the ground, then, or maybe shed innocent blood, that blood is still crying from the ground. And so if it is crying from the ground, it can affect you and your business and what it is that you're doing. That's why it is vital. If you're starting a business, not just an online business, if you're starting a physical business, the place where you are starting the business, you have to go, pour oil, dedicate it. Sometimes I say do like the Israelites did, where you put boundaries and you mark it. You know, you can just symbolically do that. So go marking the boundaries of the place and let that land be known now, because it belongs to you and you don't belong to yourself, you belong to Jesus. So that means you are dedicating that ground as belonging to Jesus and Jesus to do what he needs. And so that means that if there was any blood that was shed on that ground, or any iniquity that were performed in that ground, or any idolatry, they have no legal right to make a demand on your business, even if you're setting your business on the same place, whether it's your home, any place where you establish something physical. Take time to change ownership, and you make sure that you have made it known in heaven and on earth, and it cannot be reversed, that that land, as long as you are in it, it belongs to Jesus. And so whatever was there no longer has the legal right to come to you and make demands. And so that's the second way that you might be encountering problems. I told you, most of the time you encounter problems in your business, most of the people start with themselves. And I'm saying, don't start with yourself. Don't start with yourself. Start with the time. Is time defiled? Go to land. Is land defiled? Then the third thing that God called holy is the people now, the community. This was, you know, the Passover night when they were told to apply the blood by the doorpost, and the angel of death came. You have to remember that. It's not that the angel of death did not come, but he came and found that these are people that have been set apart for God and declared holy by the blood. And so that angel of death could not come. And so that's where the Bible is saying, no plague shall come near your dwelling. And so now that is where you go. You ask yourself, if I'm not seeing this breakthrough. And this would be also, you know, like when you are preparing to start a business or a ministry, you do your due diligence. So you are thinking, how much capital should I have? What is the influence? What, you know, you are doing your feasibility studies and all those things. So, but what about doing spiritual due diligence and spiritual preparation? So what if instead of waiting until the enemy is hindering, you do all these 5 things at the beginning? You pray for the time at the beginning, and you spend time until you know time is not defiled, until you break that completely. And then you pray for the land. You dedicate it. You make sure that you have changed ownership completely, and you let it be known. If anything makes a demand from that land, it has to make a demand on Jesus, because he owns, and it can't, because he has already paid for everything. And then now you come to you yourself and ask yourself, what is it in me that would become a hindrance? Is it my belief system? Is it, you know, anything in me that would be a hindrance, that would be a blockage, that would give the legal right to the enemy? You deal with it is it fear? Is it, you know, unforgiveness? What is it? That hatred, anything, anger in me that would open the door for the enemy? Not misappropriation of funds, greed, you know, anything that would hinder the business from going forth. You look inside of yourself and spend much time until you are able to see, surely nothing else. God has dealt with it. But remember, we are maturing sons. And, you know, God uses those who are available. So don't say because he started using you, now you are perfect. No, it's a continual journey that you must continue. It's a continual journey that even for the land that you must continue. So we are there. So that one is the one that people know, because now you know how to break curses over your family. You know how to, you know, because of Jesus' Galatians 3:13 and 14. Then you pray over your bloodline, whether this iniquity came for generations, even hit things that you don't know. Just say, if there's anybody in my bloodline that was unfaithful, you deal with that, and you continue dealing with those things until they're broken. We will look at that some more. So the other things, I don't have time to go to them in detail, but we'll look at them next time. The other one is your birthright, making sure that what it is that you're doing is what God created you to do. And the last one is office. And making sure that, you occupy. In every office in the spirit that you occupy, there's resources that are assigned for that. And so if you do not occupy the office, then you don't get the resources that are available. If you don't have the revelation of what you occupy, what office you occupy, then you might not be able to gather in the resources that you need. And so God bless you as you walk in this journey and walk in breakthrough. Remember, Jesus has triumphed over the enemy, and he delights when we prosper. He delights when we do well. So in whatever area that you are moving forward in, he delights. He's happy when you do well. But do your work. Don't be lazy. Responsibility. Take responsibility for your life and be able to see the victory that Jesus fought so hard to be able to give you. God bless you.